Thanks, everybody. It's always a pleasure to talk, and I'm super excited about what I have here for you today. Even have some visual aids, which is always fun. So, get out my handy-dandy notebook here. So, yeah, thanks everybody for coming today. Of course, my name's Dina. Many of you already know me. And we're going to film this. I'm going to put it out on my YouTube channel. So hopefully this will be something that not only we can get some good insights with and other people as well. So before I proceed, a little disclaimer. I'm, of course, not a licensed medical official of any kind. I'm merely just a student of information. So please understand any information that is expressed today is not intended as medical advice, and this is simply stated to describe some really neat technology that's available and has been available for some time. So today we're talking about how Rife, R-I-F-E technology can be used to measure and stabilize our health and our well-being. Of course, health and well-being means a lot of different things to each one of us, and to simplify it for today's discussion purposes, I'm just going to call it optimal operating range, kind of like a vehicle, right? So each of our cells, tissues, organs, and systems of the body have a range of healthy function, and they can all independently or as these systems become either over or underactive, and sometimes both, depending on the trigger or whatever else happens to us. And that's because the body's ability to adapt is so profound that it can enter into any type of situation and it will compensate. And so it's kind of in our hands to then help it to move in the direction that we would want it to move in, right? So donuts for breakfast, not good. So similar to any vehicle, not only fuel and oil are going to have an effect on the machine. You have things like engine temperatures, the sparking power, the exhaust release, and the ability to shift speeds. Those are all going to impact the performance and the longevity of the machine. So each system would have an optimal operating range and maybe even some gauges that are on the dashboard that can show us when something is within operating range or when it's low or high. And we might even get one of those fancy lights that blinks on and we wonder what the heck is that. And so with those warning lights, sometimes, have you ever taken your car into the mechanic and they have that little machine they can plug it in and it gives the codes, what's wrong with your machine? And so it would be really nice if we had one of those for humans, right? When we're trying to figure out what's going on with this miraculous, adapting, complex machine. The physical body is the vehicle of our consciousness. The systems and components comprising our body are intricately woven together, so much so that a disturbance in any one area can impact several, if not all of those systems all at once. And many of us are aware of, for instance, sugar imbalances. It can affect so many things in our lives, and so many different systems are dependent on our body's ability to regulate our sugar intake. So like the car, our health is obviously, it's more than simply the foods we eat. There are many different systems to take into consideration. When we look at health beyond just the physical dimension, we have those factors like stress, anxiety, financial health, relationship quality, and our own psychology and habits, all of these having a very clear and direct impact on our well-being. So we're complex vehicles, and the full picture of our health includes mind, body, and spirit, and so on. And so therefore, the full picture of our therapy must stretch to include much more than just diet and exercise. Rife technology has many uses in the health and wellness field to this end. Dr. Royal Raymond Rife II was interested in microorganisms from a really early age. He was something of a prodigy. He began studying bacteria and microbiology and the link to illness and disease in his early 20s and started making extensive contributions to the field, even getting an honorable doctorate from a prestigious university. He also made enormous advancements in microscope technology on his journey, as he invented a version that began to utilize light frequencies and quartz prisms instead of the electron beams that previously had been used, which ended up killing the microbes they were trying to observe. And so his version not only allowed them to be observed alive for the first time ever, but it also increased magnification, first by 1,000 times and then by 60,000 times. So these were huge leaps for the entire scientific field, but particularly for what he was looking at. So with these advancements, he was equipped to then start to look into how these organisms respond to different stimuli, and he was fascinated with electrical frequencies. And as he studied these pathogens and bacteria, he would apply different levels of vibratory frequency to them, and he started to recognize that like we said earlier, not only does every healthy cell, tissue, and so on have its own high vibrational frequency in its healthy state, then we see that bacteria and pathogens have a much lower frequency, and they also all responded to a precise and specific frequency which actually destabilized, devitalized, and killed that pathogen. So that was an incredible discovery. So having established the frequencies of the healthy cells, it was found that the lower frequency that killed the bad stuff was actually low enough that it did not impact the healthy tissue's function. So it was a safe, non-invasive technology that could be applied to therapeutic healing. So he began documenting all of these frequencies, the healthy tissues and the kill frequencies for the bad stuff. And then he also began really studying cancer in depth. And he found that cancer is caused by a very specific bacteria. I believe it's called BXBY. And he found that its ability, well, first of all, he found it contained in many organisms. But the difference was, did that organism have the environment that would allow the pathogen to thrive, to survive, or was it canceled out? And he found that the most critical link is the body's equalized pH, which should be 7.35 to 7.45 in optimal range. Of course, we can get on either side of that, even by having a sickness. If you're sick with the flu and you're losing electrolytes through the things that we know that flu does, then your body becomes more alkaline. If you're having a constant sugar intake and let's say too much alcohol indulgence or something like that, if the body isn't processing things correctly and we get too acidic, that's a breeding ground for things like cancer. And so his big takeaway there is that if you could get your pH balanced, you were not a proper environment for cancer. So that's good, right? So he documented all those parameters, the optimal operating range, and showed that how that primary pathway for a pathogen to manifest either into immune depression, sickness, illness, disease, or not, was something that was actually documentable and measurable. So he and his partners started to take this information and tried to apply this to human subjects in a trial. And these individuals were a panel of terminal cancer patients, those individuals that the doctors had already declared as beyond help, and the therapies were not taking any effect. So He worked with these people. I didn't write down all the specifics. If you want the specifics, we've got them. I can show you the book. But so he started to apply these frequencies to the individuals, and within a few short weeks, something like 8 to 10 weeks, a significant percentage of the individuals were declared by independent doctors as cancer-free. And then after tweaking the timing, the intervals, and the intensity of the treatments, and subjecting the other individuals to a different round of therapy, those individuals, after another several weeks, were also declared completely cancer-free. So he had a 100% success rate. And this is several months versus the years that some individuals are subjected to therapy. So that was incredible, right? So at first, Dr. Rife was celebrated, yet sadly, soon he was later defamed, his lab was tossed, a few people were killed, and he abandoned his research under significant pressure. But in later years, new individuals picked up the research once again and advanced the Rife technology. The computer age helped to automate the therapy. It not only enabled them to program alternating frequencies one after another without somebody having to sit there and push all the buttons manually, introducing, more safeguards, less human error, and they were able to program the intensity of the frequencies, the intervals, and able to put it on a loop. And so they worked then to make the hardware simple, user-friendly, inexpensive, and compact. And then they even went so far as to evaluate the delivery method of the frequencies to ensure the patient was comfortable and that it wasn't something that created physical discomfort primarily. So then by 2011, another crucial advancement came when they applied the concept of quantum entanglement to the machines. So this is based on the principle of fractals, or segments of a whole, and that they remain intimately connected at any distance, and any impact or trigger put towards one or the other of these fragments resulted in an immediate response in both, despite any distance. So whatever occurred to the child fragment also happened to the parent fragment. Also, this is known as spooky action at a distance, which then became the name for the quantum frequency generators, the spooky 2 machines. So this allows frequencies then to be delivered to our DNA in the form of something like a nail clipping or so on, remotely from the subject. So the nail clipping or whatever other DNA is placed between some electromagnetic pads, I'll show you in a moment, on the generator machine, and then the subject is able to go on and lead their best life. No interruption to their process or their life. And then by 2013, the first systems were made available more widely to the public. The machines were and still continue to be offered at a very reasonable price, close to cost, and affordable to most. And then the software is a free download for anybody. Those, of course, again, are called the frequency generator machines. They create and apply vibrations to the DNA to enhance, heal, release, destroy, and or detox frequencies or pathogens with the click of some buttons. In addition to those machines, another one I really am excited about is the Biofeedback machine. I'll show you that too. And this sends a series of electromagnetic signals through the palm of the hand for 60 seconds. And it returns a summary on 39 different dimensions of health and well-being parameters. Like the mini computer at the mechanic shop, this readout is just a snapshot of our health picture. If we consider the current medical diagnostic practices that we're often subjected to, this really is an efficient and amazing opportunity for us to empower our health. Because if you think about it, firstly, you wait to make your appointment, and then you wait for the doctor's availability, and then you sit in the waiting room and wait, and then you sit in the patient room and you talk to 10 different people, one after another. You might forget one detail for one. You might actually see a doctor too. And then when the doctor sees you, we have to describe our symptoms yet again. And then they're going to want to listen to the blood pressure, listen to your lungs. They want to, if you've got a big issue, maybe they want to take some samples. How invasive is that? And you got to do stuff in cups and, get poked with needles. And then maybe they can't even do everything in house, and they need to refer you for a biopsy or a culture test where there's cutting and getting into the body. And maybe you need to see a specialist, which creates more waiting and more doctors and more people to explain and more discomfort while you wait for healing. And even then, throughout the various tests, for many people, the results continue to be inconclusive, not to mention costly in money, red tape, time. Our time is valuable, and the discomfort of the waiting period, feeling unwell. So it's not only inefficient, it's exhausting. So while this seems to be a miracle that doctors and hospitals would gladly embrace, let's of course not hold our breath. So unfortunately, the traditional Western medical approach remains as symptom suppression and abatement instead of equalizing the body systems or actually creating health and well-being for the people that are in pain. Clearly, health and well-being can be more easily and much less invasively measured and maintained if we were to understand the basis of our health is, for instance, very dependent on the body's pH. Secondly, one of the most crucial things is actually our breath work. When we're stressed, we are shallow breathing, and all systems respond as if in a constant state of stress and anxiety. And that has an impact on all systems. So if we can work to oxygenate our blood just by actually inhaling, then we can find that relief without succumbing to those patterns and overthinking and things like that, however it is that we self-soothe. So yeah, that also helps us to identify our personal weak spots when we can identify them right off the bat there. And this puts our health and the ability to thrive well within our hands, not in that of an institution or an external authority figure. So on August 17th of this year, we'll be hosting a workshop here at the Lighthouse where attendees will have an opportunity to receive their own personalized and confidential biofeedback report. We'll email that to you where you can have a record of it and look at it. And we'll discuss a few of the most crucial components of your health, such as body pH, breath work, and I want to also have a good amount of time to do something real important, like taste test some yummy recipes that will be packed with things that the body needs that aren't like some people call it like eating grass and carrots and lettuce leaves and twigs and things. There are a lot of great recipes that actually are packed with things that can help balance and supplement our health. So, like amino acids, collagen, and much more. We'll go into all that stuff then. So this report's going to provide you with the insights into your health snapshot that you can go ahead and take to your licensed healthcare provider, not myself, and so that then you can make your own personalized plan and goals to return to your own optimal performance range. So I hope that you guys will all consider joining us for that and take charge of your own health journey and to thrive. So thank you for your attention. I'll show you just real quick my visuals and then I'll get out of here. So this is the Rife frequency book that my friend that got me into this gifted me. It's somebody that has a little synopsis of Dr. Rife in here, very informative, lots of good dates and things for those that care about that stuff. And then it's primarily all of the codes that you can write down for health and healing frequencies. And then in the back, they've got some information on waves, light waves, sound waves, and how that all works. So that's interesting for any who want to check that out. Let me know. The frequency generator is this little machine. And what happens with this, I've got 2 of these, and generally you would have 2 of them plugged in to your computer. Your computer has the software, you dial it in, and then right here there's this slot in between these pads, and these are the magnetic pads. And then you could take your fingernail clipping and put it in between a piece of clear tape, and then put this in almost like a zip drive. It just sits in there. And then the frequencies are passed through that DNA. It's the generator is generating the frequencies and dialing them down, focusing them, and putting them through the DNA and looping through that mechanism. And you run 2 machines generally, one for anything that you're detoxing or killing per se, and then your second machine is going to run your detox and your restorative frequencies, which are good to run at the same time because, you know, as you release with one hand, your other hand is open and ready to receive. So let's give it something good to grab onto. The second one, I sometimes refer to this as my spy briefcase. Oh, sorry. So this has a mouthful of a name. It's called the Quantum Weak Magnetic Resonance Analyzer. AE organism, an electric analyzer, and then it goes on. So this thing, you open it up, and it has to be plugged into your computer as well. It's got this little template here, if you can see that with a handprint, and it has a silhouette here that lights up when it's plugged in and ready to go of the body. And as it's putting those frequencies through the palm of the hand, it's measuring things like a BMI scale, where it takes the ratio of muscle tissue, fat tissue, and free liquids in your body, and it creates the ratio there. It does that. It takes your blood pressure. It reads all of your organs and tissues, your levels of vitamin supplements, heavy metal poisonings that may be at play, as well as some meridians of the body, which I haven't done as much research on, but I will bring that to the workshop about the correspondence between the body and the way the energy flows in Eastern medicine. So that'll be interesting to get into, but it kind of then puts those vibrational frequencies through to the right tissues, and you'll see it kind of lighting up on the machine. Again, in 60 seconds, you're done. Some people can't even feel it going on. Other people, I've at different times felt like a little twinge or a tickle here or there, like in my lymph nodes or something, you know, and that's it. Wouldn't that be incredible if all doctors had that? So thanks again for your energy and attention. I hope that you'll join us in August. Thanks, guys.
Do you have a sign?